Alright guys, welcome back to another video, and today I'm really excited to be in my board game room and talking to you guys about my top 25 board games of all time. So obviously you can see I have a lot of board games. I don't have as much as some other people have, but a lot of games I have played. Some games I've sold come in and out depending on what, the game groups I play with and what they like and stuff like that. And just so you guys know, so you guys get a feel for the games that I usually, gravitate towards, so you know what kind of list this is. I play board games primarily with two different kinds of groups right now. That is my main core friends that we try to meet once a month or once every couple of months as well. That we have a variety of people that come. Sometimes there's a lot of people that show up. So we'll be playing games with like 8, 9, 10, 11, or 12 people sometimes. And then there's other times where only 4, 5, or 6 people show up. So it kind of gives you a balance of, hey, sometimes we're playing these type of games. Sometimes we're playing these types of games. And then my other core people that I play with is my family. I got cousins that I play with and, aunts and uncles and stuff that all like playing board games. And the good thing is that they, both of these groups are kind of, they kind of just play the games that I showcase to them. They're not like very picky. They have a lot of fun playing them. They love board games like I do. Probably not as much as I do, but they like playing games, having a good time with each other. So for me, I usually tend to play things that are either on the, party games or lightweight games or, medium weight games are fine too, depending on, how many people are coming and stuff like that. But my board game collection, I would say for the most part, are all medium weight games. Or if you guys are familiar with games like, or websites like Board Game Geek, I don't think I have any game in my collection, at least not that I know of, that rates higher than like, a 3 on Board Game Geek as far as the complexity of the game, because the people I usually play with don't want that. So I used to have a few games like that. I got rid of them because I wasn't playing them enough and stuff like that. So I usually, like I said, most of the games that I play are either party, lightweight, or medium weight games. Medium weight is kind of where I hover, and if I really, really like a game, I might go to medium, a little bit higher than that, medium, and heavyweight kind of in the balance of it. But like I said, nothing usually over the 3 scale, because I know my people who are playing with me are not going to want to play games like that. So I usually stray away from those. So that gives you guys a good idea of what you guys can expect out of this list in my top 25 games. So let's go ahead and get into the video.
Gaming tech, eating brekkie is the gaming tech. Going for a brekkie is the gaming tech. Gaming tech is the gaming tech. Gaming techie.
Alright guys, so the first one on my list is unfortunately a game that I don't have here to show you, that I can't have in front of me, because I played it before in a variety of other ways through friends and stuff like that, but I don't actually have a copy of the game because I ordered it off CoolStuffInc.com and I'm waiting for it to come in so I finally have my own copy, especially with the newest expansion that came out. And of course I'm talking about Star Wars Outer Rim. Really excited about this one because I'm a huge Star Wars fan, so this game kind of fits that niche. You're out there and you're kind of, going out there and collecting cargo, doing missions for certain cards, and this is all about like the pilots of the Star Wars story and being out in space, collecting cargo and all that kind of stuff. It's really cool. Have some really cool stories, and the expansion that I have not played with yet, a lot of people are saying kind of makes the game 10 times better because it adds a lot of cards to all the different decks and stuff like that. And I'm super, super excited to get that to the table, and I can't wait to show that to my family, who are also Star Wars fans, and my group of friends as well, to really get this to the table on my own. But I really, really like this game, and the expansion, I know everyone's saying it's going to make it even better, so I'm super excited. And as a Star Wars fan, this is the one that makes my list, because it's one of the ones that, again, it strays on that medium weight line. Some of the other Star Wars games that are out there, like Rebellion, which I previously owned, I played, but it's a two-player game. I don't really have means to play a lot of two-player games where I'm just relying on one other person to play with me all the time, so I kind of took that one off my list and kind of sold it off. And this one, since it plays more than 2 people, it is a fantastic way to get that Star Wars experience that I'm looking for. So, Star Wars Outer Rim coming in at number 25. The next one here coming in at number 24 is Tidal. I have the deluxe version here, and I remember how much fun I used to have. And this box is tall, so my head's probably half cut off. But Takedo is a game that I have a lot of fun with. It revolves around like, a really relaxing game. This is a game that a lot of people refer to that you play while you're kind of just relaxing and not really heavily concentrating on the game, because there's not a lot of like interactions with players and stuff like that. It's more about the journey, and this game is all about going through, where you're going through and kind of going through Japan and stuff like that, taking your character, you're trying to collect different photos, and the artwork in this game is fantastic. Trying different food at the different events and stuff like that. You're going through the board, and then obviously whoever whoever has the most points at the end of the game wins. But it's a really relaxing game. It's a really unique game. I love this collector's edition. Really, like I said, the artwork is fantastic. And if you're looking for, a 2 to 5 player game, it plays around 45 minutes. That kind of, lends itself to being a more relaxing game that you can kind of just be talking to your friends around the table while also playing this game at the same time. Don't need to be heavily concentrated on it. This is a great game for that. And again, the artwork is fantastic. It's really unique. Not a lot of games that play like this. And I have a ton of fun with this one. So Tokaido coming in at number 24. The next one here coming in at number 23 is another huge box that I have here. And that is Tidal Blade's Heroes of the Reef. This box is huge. It is another deluxe edition that I have here. And I love the world that this game has created. This is the first game in the series. I do have the other one as well. It's not making this list. It's called Tidal Blades. It's a card game, and now I can't remember the full title of the game. But this is a worker placement type game. It's really, really fun. I love the world they created where you're battling monsters and fighting in this tournament and stuff like that. It's really, really fun if you're into worker placement type games. It plays 1 to 4 players in 60 to 90 minutes. And the deluxe edition, as you guys are looking at here, is fantastic in my opinion. The artwork is great. The 3D pieces, the figurines, everything about this screams quality. And even though I hate the box at how long this box is because it makes it hard to store, I got to store it on the top shelf because it's so long. It is definitely one of those games that are really, really fun. And you're completing all of these challenges and, trying to eventually beat these monsters and stuff like that, collect the most amount of points before the game is actually over. They actually have another game announced on Kickstarter that's going to be more of a, dungeon crawler type game in the same universe. So I'm definitely excited for that one as well. So Tidal Blade Heroes of the Reef coming in at number 23. The next one here coming in at number 22 is a newer game on the list. And this game is called Heat. It's a game that actually came out a few months ago, and this is easily becoming one of my favorite racing games in board game form. If you guys have not heard of this game is really hot. I think it's actually sold out right now, and it's supposed to be back in stock here within the next couple of weeks. It is a racing game as you would expect, but the name Heat it's all about card management. While you're racing these cars, you have to worry about your heat so you don't, overexert your car and make it spin out and all these kind of stuff. And I love the fact that how this game works where it's kind of, it increases the difficulty depending on how you want it. You can play a very basic game, and then it gives you a more advanced game where you add all the rules in it, so you can kind of teach this to players really easily. It's a really, really fun game. Plays for 1 to 6 players, which is great, and it plays in 60 minutes. This is definitely my favorite racing game. As far as pure racing game, this is definitely my one. I used to have Formula D, I think is the other one that I used to have. I got rid of this one because this one kind of replaced that one for me. So this one is a ton of fun, guys. This is Heat, coming in at number 22. The next one on this list coming in at number 21 is Disney Villainous. Now, the box that I'm showing you here is Marvel Villainous, which I can interchange sometimes on this list regardless. But the reason I'm not showing you my Disney Villainous box is because I have it all, it's like chock full because I have an insert for it and everything because of all the expansions that I have because I have every single one. And I don't want to bring it out here. It's crazy. I'd rather leave that where it is. But it's the same game as Marvel Villainous, and sometimes I can interchange them depending on my mood. But this game is a really fun game, really unique, especially for me. If you guys don't know, you probably should know that I'm a huge Disney fan. I've talked a lot about that on this channel already, so we won't go into that. Make sure to reach out to me if you guys have any travel plans, because I'm a travel agent, as you guys know. But as far as this game goes, it is for 2 to 4 players, and it plays about 20 minutes per player. And basically, what's cool about these games is that you become the villain in this game, and you're trying to go through these. Well, in this one, in Marvel Villainous, you become the villain, and the same thing in Disney. You have all these villains, like in this one, for example, Thanos, or all the different villains from all the Disney stories and like Toy Story and stuff like that. And you're battling these villains, and you essentially have a board in front of you, and you're trying to fulfill their story, and the story matches what they do. What their end goal was in their story in the movies. For example, Thanos is trying to collect all the Infinity Stones, and all that stuff. So you have all these storylines that really match their storylines. And then using their deck of cards is awesome because then you get to see all the characters from the movies that you're using and just kind of playing this game. It's a really fun game. It's probably my favorite. I'm trying to remember if there's any other ones on my list that are Disney related, but I'm pretty sure that this is my favorite Disney game in board game form. There's no other game in board game form that I like better than this one when it comes to Disney property, at least right now. It's fantastic. It's so much fun. I hope that they keep putting out expansions because, sky's the limit. They have a lot of stories that they can work with. So that is Disney Villainous coming in at number 21. The next one on this list coming in at number 20 is Forgotten Waters. So this is a game that kind of came out of nowhere, in my opinion. I have the box on backwards, but Forgotten Waters is a game for 3 to 7 players, and it is for 2 to 4 hours that you play it. So this is a really long one, but this game is all about exploring and stuff like that. And what's really cool is that I love games that have a companion app that are done well. This is a pirate exploration game where it's telling you stories and stuff like that. You use a companion app where it reads the story out loud to you. You're going through exploring the story and stuff like that. It's definitely, I believe, also this is from Plaid Hat Games. I love Plaid Hat Games, and it's definitely my favorite, pirate adventure type game where you're going on actual adventures, uncovering a lot of different scenarios. You open up the app that they have on there, and they add different scenarios where it may tell you, what your end goal is, and then you go exploring and leveling up your characters, using their abilities and stuff like that to go through that story. It's really, really cool. It's kind of based off of the Crossroads events that will kind of shape your game. If you guys are not familiar with Crossroad game, that's why this game first caught my eye, because stay tuned. I love a Crossroad game a lot from Plaid Hat Games. And this game is kind of another game like that in the Crossroad realm, or where you're picking cards depending on what happens to you in the game, and you're reading an adventure and kind of going on it. So this is Forgotten Waters coming in at number 20. The next one here coming in at number 19 is a game that was actually right behind me that you just saw me pull away, and that is Feed the Kraken. So this is a game that plays up to 11 players, which is fantastic. As I told you guys, my board game groups can sometimes be that big. 45 to 90 minutes. Now, this is a game that's kind of in the realm of things like, Resistance, which is one of the first games that brought me into the board game world that I love so much, that got me into this genre even more. It's things like Resistance, it's things like Secret Hitler, all those types of games on there, and this is my favorite of those type of games right now. This game is fantastic, and it really adds a new element. Basically, there's ships on the board, and one team is trying to steer it to one side, one team is trying to steer it to another, and the third team might actually be trying to steer it in the middle, and you use cards to steer the boat in certain directions. And the components in this game, again, are fantastic. Again, this being a social deduction game, and it being another pirate game actually. And the components in this game are just fantastic. Of course, it being a deluxe edition, you wouldn't expect anything less. But it just really adds to the immersion of the game. Even though it's not that huge of a deal to some people, when you put out a game that has amazing components on the table and you get ready to play, at least my group of friends and my family, they get excited. They're like, "Oh, what's this game going to be about?" Those pieces look fantastic. It gets people kind of into the game even more so than if it was just a cardboard piece, as opposed to a really nice miniature of like a ship or something like that, like they are in this game. So this is my favorite social deduction game right now. This is Feed the Kraken, or one of my favorite social deduction games. It's definitely up there, and this is Feed the Kraken coming in at number 19. The next one here coming in at number 18 is Looney Quest. So Looney Quest is a board game that reminds me of video games, and it reminds me of certain video games out there, and it's really, really fun. This game plays 2 to 5 players, and it plays in 20 minutes. And it is a drawing game. Basically, you have all these kind of levels that you're going through with your friends that you're playing. Everyone gets a board, and everyone has a sheet over it, and you're using your markers. And the level's going to tell you like, hey, you need to hit all of these gold coins, or you need to hit all these baddies, and you have to kind of do it without actually putting the board in front of you. So you have the center board there in the middle, and you're kind of drawing the line on your board, visually looking at that. And then after the round is over, everyone puts their white sheet over that and see if you actually hit the enemies and stuff like that. It's a really, really cool drawing game. The artwork is fantastic. It's really, really cool. It definitely has video game vibes, and that's why I like this one so much. And it plays up to 5 players. This is a really fun drawing game that really gets people, especially if they like video games, into the spirit of the game. So that's Looney Quest coming in at number 18. The next one on this list coming in at number 17 is Sabotage. And this is a really unique game that I feel like a lot of people didn't really hear about, or I didn't hear any buzz about this game. This is a really unique game that's for 2 or 4 players. So you can't actually play with 3. It's got to be 2 or 4 because you're on different teams. And it plays in 60 minutes. And this game is actually from the Tim Fowler's. If you guys are familiar with games like Burglar Bros, a really popular game from them. This is a really unique game in that genre. I love the board game art. This box opens up and you actually use it as the board. And this game is all about villains and stuff like that, where you're kind of, you must, sabotage the villains and stuff like that. You're playing on 2 different teams. I want to get this one to the table more often, to be honest. This is another one of these that are really deluxe. And what's really cool about this game is the fact that it is the 2 or 4 player count. It makes it a little bit harder to get to the table, so I've only played this a few times, but enough to make this make my list, because it's a really unique game. There's no other game that plays like this. I would definitely urge you guys to check out a video if you guys are interested in, 2 to 4 player games that you're competing against each other. think of games like Captain Sonar and stuff like that, where you're doing things like that. That's this game, but this is all about the villains and like controlling villains and kind of sabotaging each other and stuff. It's a really, really cool and unique game. Not enough time for me to describe exactly how it works in this video because there's a lot to this game, but it's a really unique game from them, and I think it flew under a lot of people's radar, and it's a great, great, game that if you're into, competitive games, 2 to 4 players against each other on teams, and you love like the villain theme, and the components also in this one are fantastic. So Sabotage coming in at number 17. The next one on this list coming in at number 16 is a game I never played that was originally out, when I was a kid and stuff like that. It's a really old game, but it was done by Restoration Games, who kind of brings old games back and makes them new again, and that is Return to the Dark Tower. This game here is, of course, just the expansion, but I do have the full game sitting on the other side in the 90s room. But Return to the Dark Tower is a fantastic game. It uses that middle tower that it was a game that was made a long time ago. It has that tower in the middle. They recreated that game, and it's done super well. It's really unique. It's like a battle game, a battle against each other. And stuff like that, where you're playing with all these players and trying to battle and be the best one in the game. It's so much fun. That tower, though, is what really makes this game, have the wow factor. Everyone looks at it, and it does all these cool things that randomize the game. You don't know where these things are going to fall, if they're going to fall on your side of the area that you're controlling. It's an area control type game as well. Besides battling the figurines and stuff like that, it's an area control where you're controlling different areas and stuff like that, and you don't know what that tower is going to do, where it's going to spill these things. And it's just a really fun game, really unique. There's nothing like this game, especially with that tower in the middle. I have the expansion and everything about it. I have the giant playmat and everything. Return to the Dark Tower, really, really fun game. Check this one out, guys, coming in at number 16. The next one here coming in at number 15 is another Marvel game on this list, and I don't even think it's the last Marvel game on this list. Obviously, you guys, if you didn't know already, I'm a huge Marvel fan, and I'm a huge Disney fan, as we talked about. But the next one on my list is Marvel Dice Throne. This is a great 2-player game. I don't get to play this as much as I would want to, because unfortunately I don't have 2 players to be able to play board games like that. So I either have to play solo games, which not every game supports solo, and that's not my preferred way to play board games, or I have to wait for someone else to come over and kind of play this game. But the times that I have played this game, it's so much fun with these Marvel games and stuff like that. This is a really unique, where you get to basically be one character. You're using all these dice and kind of battling each other until you have 0 life left. It's a really, really cool game. I wish that they would make more Marvel Dice Throne. They have Dice Throne is a huge line where they have all these different characters that they've essentially made up. But this is the full box of the 8 Marvel characters that exist, so it's the only one I own. But if they ever release more Marvel characters, I'm definitely gonna be excited to pick that one up. So this is a 2-player game, like I said, where you're playing 1v1. But there is a up to 6-player mode that you can play as well, which I have not tried yet. I've only played this in 2-player mode. I know that a lot of people say this is definitely more of a 2-player mode than it is, using all the 6 people, where you're just kind of battling different ways and stuff like that. Something I may try one day, see if I like it, especially because it's easier to get to the table in that fashion for me. And it only plays in 30 minutes, so it's really quick. But it does take a lot longer it will stretch that time out for sure if you're playing with more than 2 people. So that's Marvel Dice Throne coming in at number 15. The next one on this list coming in at number 14 is Clank in Space. So I remember, obviously, Clank has been a huge deal. They've made a lot of different spin-offs of this game, and this one is my favorite one, especially due to the expansion that they have, like the video game one, where you have an arcade and stuff like that you're going through, and, you're basically running in, trying to get as much of the different equipment as you can, getting Clank and all that kind of stuff, and then kind of running back and getting off the ship before it kind of explodes and all that kind of stuff. Trying to get the most points at the end of the game. A really, really fun game. This plays 2 to 4 players, 45 to 90 minutes. What really put this one over the edge for me is that video game expansion with the arcade and stuff. I think that was really cool and a great expansion. I know a lot of people love the new version of Clank that just came out. That's like more of the dungeon that you're going through, because all the tiles are always different, but I still think this is my favorite one. This still gives me the variability of the, where you actually place your boards, especially with the expansions and stuff like that. So this is my favorite version of Clank I've played, and it is a deck builder as well, if you guys are not familiar with Clank. You're going through, you're building your deck of cards, trying to go through, get as many points as you can, and again, getting out of there before, the ship kind of goes down under. So really, really fun game, guys. Clank in Space coming in at number 14. The next one on my list coming in at number 13 is, I guarantee you, a game that people have not thought about in a really long time. And probably maybe never even heard of before if you're, kind of new into the genre of board games, because this game came out a long time ago, and that is Pixel Lincoln. So again, this is a deck builder, as you can see here. It is a deck builder, and it plays 1 to 4 players in 45 minutes. And this game is so much fun. Again, it is a very has the retro artwork, as you guys are looking at, and it really does feel like a really unique deck builder where you're using the board, going through and kind of, grabbing all these cards and stuff like that. And it's very video game. They have tropes in here and different cards that kind of rely or relay information that may remind you of certain video games and stuff like that. It's really, really cool the way that this game is designed, and the cards that are in here. It was a really unique deck builder. It's one of the first games that I had in my board game collection. It had to be like the first in the original, like first 25 or so. I remember buying this game on Kickstarter. I was really big into Kickstarter back in the day. Not really so much anymore. I usually just wait for games to come out now, and I can't be... back in the day, I didn't have a house and everything to maintain when I was buying some of these games. So it's a lot harder to, sacrifice $300-400. And not that this game was, but these Kickstarter games that are like, $200-400 sometimes. So I usually just wait for the games to come out, make my decision to make sure it's good then. But this is a fantastic game. If you guys are into deck builders and video games, definitely check this one out. Coming in at number 13, Pixel Lincoln. The next one here, coming in at number 12, is another Marvel game on the list. And again, it's still not the last Marvel game on my list. It's freaking crazy. I didn't realize how many Marvel games were on my list, but I really love the property, and I really love the games that they're making with it, to be honest. And that is Marvel Champions. So this game is unique because in this Marvel game, you are actually all taking roles of the heroes. Everyone gets to be a hero character, and then there's a villain on there, and he has certain things that you're doing. You're playing these cards that basically dwindle the opponent that you have in front of you, the villain, all the way down to 0 health. Really, really fun game, of course, as you would expect for it being on my list. And I'm trying to find how many players this is, because I forget exactly if it goes to 5 or 4. This is 1 to 4 players, and it plays in about 45 to 90 minutes. Obviously, some of the villains are harder than others and stuff like that. It's a really, really fun game. Being able to use all your favorite Marvel heroes and kind of be a team together, where everyone's playing cooperatively to go ahead and take that villain down. It is also fun that it is solo. I've been getting into more solo games more now than I ever have before. It's still not my preferred way to play board games. Obviously, I have all these board games. I have this board game table and all that kind of stuff because I love playing board games with people, with my friends and stuff like that. I wish I could meet more board game groups out there to play board games more often in my area, but it's good to at least have the option if I want to, play a board game like this, that the solo is a good way to do it. Plus, sometimes playing these solo games is a good way to learn the game yourself, so then when you introduce it to other people, you have an easy way to, to show them. So, Marvel Champions, guys, coming in at number 12. The next one here, coming in at number 11, is a really, really unique game. It's a really, really fun game, and that is Horrified. Horrified is a game for 1 to 5 players. And this game plays in 60 minutes and is a complete cooperative game where you're fighting the universal monsters that we all know and love from Horrified. In this game here, you have things like Dracula, the Mummy, Frankenstein, and stuff like that. And they have their own different missions that they're trying to complete. And you're basically trying to stop them. You're working together with up to 5 players. It's a pure cooperative game. I love cooperative games to be able to play with the players. And I play this with a few of my friends, and they all love it as well. And obviously, it's a property that we all know, like. I love board games that, do properties that we know, but also do them really well. And this is definitely one of them. If you're into cooperative games and you're into, like, the Universal Monsters and the license and stuff like that, it's really uniquely tied to and the characters that you're playing against, like the Mummy and Frankenstein and stuff like that, really have the, the property, like, integrated really well into what they're actually trying to do. Which makes it even more fun to play. They actually released another game in this as well, where they have the other monsters as well, if you want to have, either or. I only own this one right now, which one day I'll probably own the other one as well. But that is Horrified, coming in at number 11. The next game here, coming in at number 10, is Flamecraft. This is a game that was really, really popular last year. This game is fantastic, and I'm also, again, trying to look. Here we go, 1 to 5 players in 60 minutes. You would think I know, because I just played this game again last week with my family and showed them for the first time, and they loved it. It's definitely a worker placement game where you're, basically all artisan. You're using your dragons and stuff like that to kind of build up points. But what really sells this game that people kind of see, again, this being the deluxe edition again, is the artwork on the cards. The artwork and the cute artwork with the dragons and stuff like that really kind of sell this game. It's a really, easy game for people to get into, but it has a lot of strategies and a lot of variety. I love all the artwork on the game. I love all the deluxe components, like the the actual dragons and all the different fruits and stuff like that. Everything is done super well, the wooden components. And I love how every game is always different because you have the board in front of you. I own the mat for this game as well. All the shops have their own different abilities, and you don't use every single one in every game, so all the games are going to be different. It's just a really fun game to get into. My family loved it. Great worker placement game, especially if you're with a cute theme on top of it. Really easy for family and friends to play. That is Flamecraft, coming in at number 10. The next one here, coming in at number 9, and I'm sorry already, guys, it is another Marvel game making this list, and again, still isn't the last one on this list. Can't believe how many Marvel games made this list without me realizing it until after the list was made. But this game that we're talking about here is Marvel United. This is actually one that I actually own all the components for because I did actually back this one on Kickstarter. And it is obviously one of my most favorite Marvel games that ever came out. It's a ton of fun. Basically, another one where everyone's a different character and pure cooperative again, where you're fighting the villain. The playmat's freaking huge for this. I have the playmat for this game as well. This one was from Spin Master Games, and they knocked it out of the park with this one. They have so much content for this game. They just did the X-Men that are added into this as well with the latest Kickstarter. I don't own the X-Men stuff because I never really got into X-Men as a kid for some reason, so I don't really know those characters too much except for a few of them. I just have all the stuff for the original Kickstarter, and that's plenty of content. I'll never run out of stuff to play. But it's a really unique game, really, really fun, really simple game. What makes this one, it's really easy to get to the table because you can play with, players that, don't play board games all the time, but they love Marvel characters and stuff like that. You're playing cooperatively, trying to take the villain down, moving around the board, and the way you place your cards is really unique. The playmat's fun, artwork is fun, and, having all the minis and stuff like that. I have a ton of minis for this game. It is awesome. So Marvel United is a really fun game if you're into the Marvel, if you're into cooperative games and you're into the Marvel franchise, this is definitely one that I would definitely recommend. Really, really fun stuff here. Marvel United, coming in at number 9. The next one here, coming in at number 8, is a property that I also really love. I'm a huge fan of Jurassic World and, Jurassic Park and all that stuff. I grew up with those movies and I love dinosaurs and stuff like that, like most of us probably did. And the game we're talking about here is Dinosaur World. Now, this is definitely a bigger game than most of the other games on this list. 1 to 4 players, 60 to 120 minutes. This one's definitely a little bit more on the, it's definitely a medium weight game compared to some of the other games on this list, but it is so much fun. If you're into, Jurassic World and Jurassic Park and stuff like that, this is definitely the game for you. This is like everyone's 90s dream where you're basically running your own dinosaur park and, upgrading your park and upgrading your dinosaurs and getting more dinosaurs in there, getting more people to come and see them and stuff like that. Really, really cool stuff. Again, plays in 60 to 120 minutes. This is definitely the epitome of any dinosaur game I've ever played. This is Jurassic Park or Jurassic World in a box right here. And it lets me live out my dreams from when I was a kid of having my own dinosaur park and creating it exactly how I'd want it to be. It's so much fun. And if you guys are into that genre and you're into a game like this where you're creating your own park, this is definitely one to check out. Dinosaur World, coming in at number 8. The next one here, coming in at number 7, is a game that I actually had the original version of this game, and then I got the sequel of it, if you want to call it that. It's from Kaman, one of the guys on Kickstarter that always do crazy miniatures for some of the games, and this is definitely my favorite, one of my second favorite game from them. Spoiler. But this is Starcadia Quest. This game is obviously, I don't know how many of you guys remember Arcadia Quest. That used to be my favorite game until I played this one. This is a revised version of that game, but this is a campaign game where you're basically going through, you have missions and you're going through a storybook, and each campaign mission you're kind of fighting each other. It's up to 4 players, and this game plays in 60 minutes. And the only reason this game is just a ton of fun to play. I don't play it more than I would. I want to play this game more, but it's hard to get to the table because it does require a lot of setup, and sometimes the setup for a mission takes longer than the actual mission, especially the earlier ones take. But it's so much fun. You're playing with 4 players and you're trying to, do your missions and stuff like that in the game. Sometimes you have to fight each other. You have to go to certain parts of the board and defeat these different monsters and stuff. I have all these figures and stuff. And you're going through the campaign, and then you're leveling up your characters, getting better equipment as you get better, more into the campaign. And it is a ton of fun to play. You don't need to play with the same 4 players in each of the campaign missions, but it is a lot of fun if you do. And this is definitely my favorite game from them. I own all this stuff. I have a whole nother box full of stuff from them for Starcadia Quest. Again, either Arcadia Quest or Starcadia Quest are kind of on the same level. This was just a little bit better, especially this one is more on the, space theme if you're into that genre more. And it makes some of the characters rely on funny things from movies and stuff that you may remember from certain movies that they're kind of, portraying through the characters and stuff. So that's also really fun as well. So Starcadia Quest for me, my it's my second favorite game from Command, and that is coming in at number 7. The next one here coming in at number 6 is another property from Command that we were just talking about. It is my favorite game from them right now. And I've had a lot of different versions of this game. It's crazy. I started off with the original, went to their sequel, and now I'm sitting on this one. And this is my last Marvel property on my list here, and that is Marvel Zombies. This is definitely my favorite version of the Zombicide franchise from Command. I had the original Zombicide. I also had Black Plague, which was my favorite for a while. And then I played this one, and this one replaced Black Plague for me because, of course, I love the property. I love seeing all the characters and stuff, but this game is just really cool. I love how easy it is. This is another mission-driven game, but it's really, really easy to play. It's just kill these dudes on a map, but you're using these Marvel characters. They all have these crazy abilities that they have that kind of, portray what their Marvel characters would be like, and all these Marvel characters have turned into zombies and stuff like that, which is cool. So you see Thor in zombie form and all this kind of stuff. It's just really, really fun. If you're into the Zombicide, system and stuff like that, this one's really good. And this is 1 to 6 players as it usually is. Plays in about an hour, and I love this game. I can't wait to see the rest of the stuff come out because right now they only have the core box out, and the fact that it's on my list this high already with just the core box, because I used to love Zombicide and Black Plague would have been on this list, and so I played this one and like this one so much more. So, and it could rise on this list as the future goes on because I don't have all the rest of the stuff. No one does, because the rest of the Kickstarter expansions and stuff have not released yet. So when that comes out, it's going to be game over because there's going to be so much content for this game and so many characters to play with that I can't wait for it. So that's Marvel Zombies coming in at number 6. The next one here coming in at number 5 is a game behind me that I don't want to move right now because there's so many pieces in there and I don't want that thing to collapse on me or anything. But that is Dead of Winter, which is sitting right here. I mentioned back in the beginning when I was talking about Forgotten Waters that Crossroads is a game system that I really like. And this is the game that got me into it. This is Dead of Winter, the Crossroads game. The first Crossroads games when it came out, people were going crazy for this game. And I love this game. It's up to 5 players. And it's so much fun to play. There's a hidden trader in the game, or there could possibly be a hidden trader game in the game. You don't know, and you're basically going through a zombie apocalypse trying to survive, get food, have enough food for everybody, make sure everyone's surviving, but there could be a hidden trader in the game that's kind of messing up the missions that you're trying to complete in the game to get to the end. The Crossroads system, if you guys are not aware of it, basically means that the person if it was my turn, the person before me is looking at a crossword card, and if that action at the top is something that I do on my turn, whether it be talking to a character, collecting food, or whatever the crossword cards that it says, then they stop my turn and they read the story to me, and then I have to, make a decision. It's a really interesting system that they've portrayed in other games, and it was the first game that did it, and me being a fan of hidden trader games, this one definitely makes my number 5. It's so much fun. If you guys have not played this game, I definitely urge you guys to check this one out. Coming in at number 5 is Dead of Winter. The next one here coming in at number 4 is another one that I love the theme of this game because I really love theme parks and stuff like that. Obviously a huge Disney fan, no surprise. Love theme parks, love Six Flags, all that kind of stuff. And this game is Funfair, but you can interchange this one with Unfair as well. I own both of them. Funfair is the version of it where, as the title suggests, you're creating your own theme park by using different cards. And if you're into, I used to love Roller Coaster Tycoon when I was a kid. This kind of has, makes me feel that way. We're using cards, creating your own theme park. And this game is this is the easy version. This plays 2 to 4 players, 15 minutes per player. It's a really easy game. It's definitely a family weight game. When I want to play a game like that, I would choose this one. There isn't a lot of competitive nature against players and stuff like that where you're ruining their hands and ruining their parks. But then there's Unfair, which they have released a ton of expansions for, where this one's kind of singular in its box and you have everything you need in one box with no expansions. And Unfair has a ton of expansions that you can, manipulate the game to be more competitive or more player interaction or less player interaction or whatever the case may be. And you really can go crazy in there. The game's a little bit more complicated than this one, but still probably sits in the medium, lightweight to medium class category. And Unfair is also fantastic. I have it sitting there on the shelf. And I love theme park games, and both these games definitely scratch that itch. And they're my favorite theme park games that I've played so far in any of the board games I own. And it sits at my number 4, Funfair. The next game on my list is a really heavy box that I have here in front of me. And again, we're going to be keeping with the same theme here as far as this is another thing that I really loved when I was a kid, and that was the Game of Life. The Game of Life is a game that I always played as a kid, got me into board games. I love going through life and, you know, seeing what you're going to land on, seeing what happens and all that kind of stuff. And this game kind of took the Game of Life, in my opinion, and made it into an actual board game that board game people will actually like. And I just got their latest big box expansion that I'm super excited to get to the table with the nostalgic expansion soon. And that is the Pursuit of Happiness. This is one of my favorite games. Like I said, this game is, how many players is this? This is 1 to 5, 60 to 90 minutes. And again, this is all about, you know, it's kind of like the Game of Life. You're going through and you're, you know, you marry people, you go ahead and you meet characters and stuff like that. They have a ton of different ideas in here. You get your own job, you get your own wife, husband, whatever it may be. And it's just fantastic. And you're obviously, like the game says, trying to pursue your happiness. So, you know, you're collecting and buying items from the store that make you happy and manipulating all that stuff to basically, at the end of the game, it's whoever has the most life happiness that kind of wins the game, whoever has the most overall happiness. And it's just a really, really, you know, fun game, especially if you guys are into the Game of Life, but you want a game that kind of has that same idea where you're, you know, exploring the different ways of life of, you know, marriage and buying things and owning and having a job and all that kind of stuff, but you want it more in a board game form. Where it's actually fun for board gamers and it's not just a simple game of the Game of Life. That is this game right here, guys. That is the Pursuit of Happiness, coming in at number 3. All right, guys, and my second favorite game of all time for my board game is another game that I think a lot of people have either forgotten about or haven't played or maybe never heard of, but I think it's a fantastic game, obviously it being number 2 on my list, and that is Heroes Wanted. This is a game, I have all the expansions for it, I believe, and this game is 1 to 5 players and plays in 60 minutes. It is a, you know, obviously themed around heroes and stuff like that, where you have all these different missions. They have different boards that you're kind of doing different things and you're fighting the villain depending on the board. And you have all these characters and they make all these unique characters that you can combine with the top card and a bottom card. That, you know, the top card gives you an ability and the bottom ones. And it's really cool. Danger Computer, you know, all these wacky names that they have for all these heroes that you're kind of, you know, playing. And it's a tactical board game where you have a piece that you're moving around a board. You're, you know, trying to fight these villains and stuff like that, creating your unique hero. And but what's really cool is that I love the missions in this game. I love the variety, and I love the I forget what they call them in this game. I don't know if it's sitting on the back here, but I think that's like called like newspapers or something, where you're trying to fulfill like these different goals and stuff like that that make you do unique things in every game, and it gives you points for doing them. So you're not just, you know, KOing minions or the villain the whole time. Sometimes you're doing different things and getting to different parts of the board and stuff like that. And it's a competition to be the best hero at the end of the game. It's so much fun. Not a game that has you know, not a lot of games that play like this, and I love the system, and obviously it's a game that I keep coming back to being my second best overall game, and it's sad that I think a lot of people don't remember this one anymore, but I still love this game, and it's still sitting highly on my list, and I play it all the time. People love it, even though it's not based on a specific property. The heroes are funny, they're quirky, they're awesome, and it plays very unique to a lot of other games. Heroes Wanted, coming in at my number 2. And my number 1 game on this list, unfortunately, I do have it. It's sitting right there, but the box is so big and it's at the top, and it's another one of these long boxes, especially since I just got the big box upgrade and did all the wooden components and stuff. I really don't want to take it down from there. But that is Western Legends. This is a game, it's probably, I would say, probably the most complicated game on the list, even though it's not that complicated and you can learn it, but it definitely has the most rules, and it's going to take the longest to teach, I think, compared to all the other games to your friends. Definitely leaning into that medium weight class. And it is so, so good. I love the Western theme. I love, you know, cowboys and robbing trains and all that kind of stuff. And all the things that you know from the Western games is kind of in this game. This is basically an open sandbox game where you can go ahead and do whatever you want. You can, you know, be on the law side or be on the outlaw side. You can switch mid-game, you know, be the good guy or the bad guy, doing all these different things, you know, buying things from the market, equipping better weapons, and, you know, being part of the law and capturing criminals, all these different things, capturing going after cows and stuff like that for you, all of these different things. There's so much to explore in this game, and the expansion that just came out with the big box that I got, man, putting that wooden insert together was a freaking nightmare. If anybody else had to do that, that took me hours to do, but it's well worth it now. I had to glue everything and it's in there. But man, they could have did that so much better, especially the instructions. But it's done, and it's my favorite game of all time right now. It's so good. There's so much to do in this game. There's so many strategies. You're never gonna have the same strategy twice. And there's so many expansions in the game that I can't play with all this stuff all at the same time, especially with new people that I show this to. They'll be way confused. So you gotta, ease them into it. But so much content. I haven't even played through all the expansion stuff yet, especially the new one. But everything adds something new to this game. I love the quality of the components that are in there, the poker chips, all that kind of stuff that's showcased in this game. And it's everything that you could want in an open world sandbox Western themed game. So it is my number one game on this list, guys. And that is my list of my top 25 board games of all time, guys. I mean, there's a lot of games I have in here. I own over like 300 games. I've had a lot more games than that I've, bought and sold off. I would say I've probably played, over 600, 700 games at this point that have been in my collection as they rotate through over the last like 10 years that I've owned board games. So much fun, obviously. Glad to have this dedicated space that I made here this year that kind of showcases my love for board games and kind of invites people to play. Love the way the design looked. And I did want to leave you with one other board game here that I haven't played yet, but I'm really excited about playing, that it has a lot of excitement around it. So I might have made this list if I actually got to play it more, but I haven't played it at all yet, but I'm excited to get to it. And that is Blood of the Clock Tower. It's being billed as like the best werewolf game ever. I love Werewolf, but I told you I replaced it with Kraken, Feed the Kraken, because I love Feed the Kraken more, but I love Hidden Trader games and stuff like that. And this is Werewolf in a box here, but in this one, from what I've read in the rules so far and what I've seen about this game, I'm excited to take this one out. Everyone has a unique role. It's not, you're not just a villager with no role like it is in Werewolf. This one, everyone has a unique role. Even if you die, you still stay in the game, unlike Werewolf, and you're still actively participating in the game and can affect the game. But what makes this one interesting is whoever's running the game, the GM, definitely has to be heavily involved, because he's the one who's going to make the game for better or for worse. So I'm excited to get this one to the table when I have another large gathering of 12 people or whatever the case may be on here. I think you can play up to 20 people in this game, which is crazy. There's a ton of roles in here. They have 3 different story-based roles that you can play in 3 different areas to play in. Excited to get this one to the table. This could have made my list, but I haven't played it yet. But this is one that you should definitely check out if you're a Werewolf fan or Hidden Trader games. This is the new hotness right now that I'm excited to dive into that you guys might like as well. But other than that, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this list and you got a lot of board games that maybe you didn't hear about before. This is my top 25 games of all time. Like I said, this list probably changes all the time because I'm always getting new games throughout the year. I don't get as much as I used to because now I have to be really selective because I don't have unlimited room. So I'm not in the position yet that where I have to sell a game to fit a game. I still have some room on these shelves and stuff like that behind there. So there's some room still to play with, but I'm still really selective because of that reason. Because obviously I don't have a limited room. So got to be selective in the games that you choose, and it has to be, something unique that is being added into my collection or a property that I really, really love. But guys, let me know your favorite games down in the comments below and what makes your list. And if you guys have any questions about the games I've shown off here today, as always, leave it down below. If not, thank you guys for watching. Till next time.